a brilliant column. She has written, what makes her passing so forceful to Americans is the real connection she made between our nations. She nurtured and maintained our special relationship because she knew instinctively that despite our history of conflict, the United States has no more trusted ally than the United Kingdom. And it's an absolute pleasure to say Meghan joins me now live from Washington, D.C. Meghan, I was so glad that I read your column because everything that we're seeing, right, from MSNBC and CNN and the Washington Post and the New York Times seems to want to paint the Queen as some sort of representation of all of the wrongs of the British Empire.
Yeah, I mean, it's absurd, and I think it's very reductive commentary, especially during this time of grief before she has been buried. The Queen is a beloved figure. Americans, average Americans, I don't think completely comprehend the monarchy, but there is an understanding of Queen Elizabeth's vital role in the United States, her vital role keeping freedom and liberty alive in the West. The UK is America's greatest ally. We have fought together in wars. My brother Jimmy fought alongside British soldiers in Afghanistan. It is a long, long history. The Queen Elizabeth met with 14 sitting presidents, including a story I was reminded of, my personal favorite now, meeting with President Ronald Reagan, horseback riding and eating tacos and enchiladas with him, and really fostering a personal relationship. I think she understood the value between our two countries. And I have been very surprised at the deep outpouring of grief and sadness at the Queen's passing. My own mother-in-law came over to my house right after it happened and was almost despondent over it. And I think she's just a figure of steadiness in a chaotic world, of, a person who really has kept calm and peace. And during these times of extremism and unrest, she was a figure we could all look to and a figure of stability that the United States could count on. So people may want to have what I find reductive and disgusting conversations about things that happened well before she became queen. But I think that the tone, at least in my country, from average Americans is one of deep respect and grief for your country right now. This is truly the ending of an era globally. And I think as someone who I consider myself a feminist, she is arguably no greater feminist icon, a woman who was a global leader for over 70 years, who did everything a man can do and better, who did it with class, who did it quietly, who never complained, who never made her gender an excuse for why bad things had happened to her through the chaos going on in the world and also in her family and her personal life. And she is someone that will be remembered for hundreds and hundreds of years. And I'm just very sorry about her passing. It has been I think it's a very dark time for a lot of people, a lot of uncertainty. And I certainly hope that now King Charles and Queen Camilla continue their relationship with the United States and come and visit, our president, come and visit our incredible country. I understand that Queen Elizabeth also loved to go to the Kentucky Derby to visit horses. She had been to California. She'd been around the West. In my home state of Arizona, they are very proud that there is a painting hanging in a local museum that was present at her coronation. There is a great source of pride and admiration for Queen Elizabeth. And I think the entire family, aside from two people you already know.
I mean, I think the history with the US presidents is just fascinating, isn't it, Meghan? I mean, this was a woman who hosted JFK and Jackie at Buckingham Palace, and then hosted Donald Trump and Melania at Buckingham Palace. And in fact, she met every single US president aside from LBJ in terms of her time as monarch.
Yes, and there were two moments which the First Lady, Michelle Obama, broke protocol and President Trump broke protocol. Michelle Obama infamously hugged her, which is something that is obviously against royal protocol, and she handled it with a lot of grace and humor, and did the same thing with President Trump, who I believed walked in front of her when, it went against social decorum and protocol. So again, I think just a class act, and a woman who really understood the deep importance of our allyship between America and the United Kingdom. It will maintain a very, very important and significant relationship, the most important in our country. It's the first country we can rely on. For me personally, just looking back at my memories of Queen Elizabeth, the time that I've been, I think, most touched was when she had, the Star Spangled Banner played in front of Buckingham Palace after 9/11, which was also, something that had been unusual and unique, and the only time it had happened as a sign of our allyship, a sign of her, deep love for the United States of America. And I wish people who are criticizing, which, again, I really want to emphasize, this is the woke academia in the country. This really isn't a great representation of average Americans and the American public, but she's a very beloved figure and in a lot of different ways. And I really, really hope that King Charles understands that this allyship is something that is extremely important to my country and should continue on in the same kind of fashion that she held for so long.
No, such a good point. Such a good point. Absolutely. And it has been so lovely to hear, Meghan, that ordinary American folk are sharing in our grief. What's interesting, Meghan, just a final word actually, do you know what's so interesting about the American news channels? Apparently they're desperate to keep on covering this story because, of course, the ratings have doubled apparently for CNN since the Queen's death, but they just have to find a way to do it, I guess, in their woke way, which we expect, don't we? That's how the media works. But look, thank you for your column. That is the Star DailyMail.com columnist Meghan McCain.